Let's rank every hero equipment from the best to the worst, covering the equipment you should be using and which ones to ignore for now. Starting with the Grand Warden's equipment first, this is how his equipment ranks from best to worst. Starting within the S tier, we have the Fireball, Rage Gem, and Eternal Tome. Each of these equipment are at a league of their own, offering ways to damage, buff, or protect your units as they move through bases. Fireball needs no introduction, as it's currently one of the best equipment in the game with its 6-tile radius and massive damage to everything in said radius, making this equipment great for setting up pathing for smash attacks or clearing out the core during Warden charges. On the flip side, the Eternal Tome is great for just protecting your units, and while anything that leaves the aura will not stay invulnerable, it is very much needed for different armies that want the protection, such as Super Bowlers. The Rage Gem, though, buffs troops and heroes effectively, allowing for stronger pushes as you move through bases. This also buffs healers by quite a bit, with 50% more healing, making armies that use healers even stronger than they already were. But you can also use my creator code to support me and the channel. Over in the A tier, we have the Healing Tome. Still a solid option for plenty of attacks with its solid healing per second and long healing duration, making it perfect for air spam attacks and some ground attacks. However, it does offer a bit less value once its duration expires, so the Warden really won't be providing much past that. However, if you love using E-Drags, Dragons, or Super Hogs, it's a great choice for you to still pick up and use. As for the C tier and F tier, these equipment are often not worth using due to their use cases being very weak compared to the Warden's other equipment. Up next is the Royal Champion's equipment, where this is how her equipment ranks from best to worst. Over in the S tier is easily her electric boots. This goes without saying of how useful this equipment is, whether you're using a Royal Champion charge or you're supporting your push inside the base. You have plenty of ways to use them, as its DPS is quite good, along with its solid healing and HP increase stat, which keeps it versatile in most army comps. As for the A tier, we see the Rocket Spear and her new Frostflake equipment. Both of these equipment are quite comparable to each other and offer unique benefits depending on the army you're using. The Rocket Spear excels when using the Royal Champion solo, such as on the back end of the base or during a Royal Champion charge. This allows it to take advantage of the spears against back end defenses, regardless if she's inside or outside the base. Her Frostflake, on the other hand, is actually deceptively good, as it provides the polar opposite to the Rocket Spear. This is more of a supportive equipment that usually wants to provide its effects while other troops and heroes are nearby. Having a 7-second freeze doesn't seem all that useful until you realize that it's able to help get your troops healed back up, or just prevents too much damage in that section. This is perfect for smash attacks, where having it inside the base to support your smash troops tends to pair perfectly along with her electro boots, or using it on the back end with the Rocket Spear to support your king and queen on the flanks of the base, providing a freeze that can help keep them alive while still being able to snipe buildings from a distance with the Rocket Spears. Within the B tier, we see the Haste File and the Seeking Shield. Both of these have their specific use cases that make them powerful choices, but it also depends on your situation. If you love using Royal Champion Charge Dragons, the Haste File tends to be a great pick, as it speeds up the Royal Champion's attacks, making it much easier to get value around the core while using this strategy. However, the Seeking Shield is much better when paired with the Rocket Spear, as it offers you some nice damage on a few defenses, which can help either clear lower HP defenses or weaken defenses enough for the Rocket Spear to use one less spear to clear it. Often, this is best used while your Royal Champion is on the back end, helping your attack clear through defenses that might pose a problem later on. Either way, these are more situational equipment depending on your army and what you have available. However, for the C and F tier, these survivability equipment are just not as strong as they used to be, with their survivability being fairly selfish and often not doing much compared to her other choices. Moving over to the Minion Prince, these are how his equipment rank from best to worst. So within the S tier, we have the Dark Orb, easily his best equipment due to how consistently strong this equipment's effects are. A 50% slow on defenses for a decent length of time is quite helpful in plenty of air armies. This works great against high DPS defenses, such as the Revenge Tower or Monolith, but also against raged up defenses, which can do a considerable amount of damage, and thus slowing down its attacks makes it easier to get through. Over in the A tier, we have the Dark Crown and Metal Pants. Both of these equipment are quite solid as they often work in different situations you're using your minion prints in. If you're often using air spam attacks, the Dark Crown is hands down a great pick because it provides buffs to the prints as your dragons naturally fall, giving him a much needed boost towards the back end of the base. However, his Metal Pants provides great value if you're often using him within Fireball Warden charge armies, as his survivability can help a lot while also being able to use the Dark Orb to slow down defenses. As for the B tier, we have his Meteor Staff and Henchman Puppet. These two aren't bad options, but they aren't as flexible compared to his other equipment. The Henchman Puppets are still fairly good for those who use air spam, mainly due to it being a common equipment, while also providing some buffs like DPS to the minion prints to keep him moving. His Meteor Staff, on the other hand, is quite decent, but does have some problems. Similar to Henchman Puppets, it works well within air spam and can be an additional source of damage with the Dark Orb or Dark Crown, offering decent value if your print stays behind the dragons. But within the C tier, this equipment just isn't really worth using as there aren't many situations to use it over his other equipment. Now with the Archer Queen's equipment, this is how her equipment ranks from best to worst. To kick things off in the S tier, we have her Magic Mirror and Action Figure. These two equipment are just extremely powerful to use in a variety of situations. The Magic Mirror is mostly good for ground attacks, but is often used to either add damage inside the base in hero dives or smash attacks, but can also be used on the outside the base to set up proper funneling for your attack. Likewise, the Action Figure can also work while funneling or smashing the inside of the base as it spawns a beefy tank to help out. It also works well in air attacks where you have the additional cover while setting up funneling for your air spam push. Over in the A tier though, we have her Giant Arrow, a fairly powerful option that has plenty of situations that make it worth using, especially thanks to its buff at max level, allowing it to do 2000 damage to anything in its path. As such, it's one of the few equipment that can activate Invis towers from a distance, but it can also be used with Zapquake to clear value out, or even to snipe air defenses and sweepers for your air spam attacks. However, in the B tier, we have her Healer Puppets. While it's still decent with 3 healers who have decent hero healing, the more healer levels that are added, the less valuable this equipment becomes, making its only really good use case being on the outside with either the Magic Mirror or Giant Arrow for funneling. As for the C and F tiers, these are just very lackluster equipment that aren't as strong or flexible compared to her other equipment choices. Finally, we have the Barbarian King, where this is how his equipment ranks from best to worst. In the S tier, we obviously have the Spiky Ball. Without a doubt, his best and most flexible equipment with how commonly you can use this equipment in a variety of different strategies. Whether you need damage inside the base or on the outside, this has you covered with a solid amount of projectile damage, while also offering enough HP and DPS in his hero boost to really shine. So often pairing this with the Earthquake Boots inside the base or the Snake Bracelet while funneling gives him enough stats and flexibility to be used often. Speaking of which, in the A tier, we have the Earthquake Boots and the Snake Bracelet. While both are used in separate situations, they are often very powerful options for many attacks. If you need walls opened inside the base or a load of damage immediately in the core, using the Earthquake Boots gives your attack more than enough support with its 8 tile radius that can break any level of wall while doing solid damage percent to all buildings nearby. The Snake Bracelet, on the other hand, is a bit more of a funneling equipment, which is why its HP increase stat is so important, giving enough HP for your king to wander on the outside just fine while keeping your main push inside the base. However, his B tier equipment consists of the Giant Gauntlet and the Rage Vial. Unlike the other equipment in this list, these two complement each other very well, as the Giant Gauntlet's damage reduction and splash damage works perfectly with the Rage Vial's movement speed increase and damage increase, allowing the king to stay alive while doing big damage for a decent chunk of time. Though, since it needs nearby buildings to be close together, it can often be less valuable to use these two compared to his other choices. And for his equipment in the C and F tiers, they are just not really worth using, as there are not many armies that need them and thus aren't good compared to his other choices. With that said, here is the tier list for every hero so you know which equipment you should prioritize and which ones to avoid. If you want the minimum levels for most of these equipment, I would suggest checking out this video right here, but YouTube says this one is right for you.